Okay, hi everyone, good evening. So welcome to this episode of the Revenue Stream by the Peso Pro episodes. So right now, we're actually about to start. If you recall, maybe a few weeks ago, we actually started our Pro edition of the Revenue Stream. And today's session is very, very special. We're gonna talk about an exciting new product that has hit the market maybe just a couple of weeks ago. And based on my friends and everyone who has been tuning in into G Invest, I'm sure you have questions. So we have a very, very special guest. And before I introduce him though, let me just go through a couple of logistics items. For those of you who have not, who's this time is not the first time for you. You've probably seen this slide before, but for those who are new to the stream, welcome, welcome. We're gonna utilize YouTube's chat box. So if you are on a desktop, that would be on your right hand side. If you are on mobile, that would be somewhere at the bottom of the screen. So feel free to engage. We'll try to make this as fun and as engaging as possible. And also while you're here, consider liking and subscribing to the channel so that you can have a lot more access to next videos that we will put up in the next few weeks. Right? Also, as part of everything that we've been promoting over the last couple of weeks, we're actually doing a giveaway through the very, very generous heart of our guest. We're also doing a quick raffle draw towards the end of the session. So while you're here, please go to this link. So that's bit.ly/GInvest giveaway. Or if you have your phones with you, you can simply just scan the QR code and get there. It will require you to enter some contact details because the winner actually does get a very, very special prize at the end of the show. So we'll leave that open for the remainder of the show or their stream so that you guys can openly register for the raffle giveaway. I'll tell you later when it's time to close that registration so that you have enough time to get into the raffle draw. Okay, so enough of all of those logistic stuff. Let me introduce our guest. So our guest is Mr. Andrew Cao. He is currently the head of the funds business of ATR Asset Management, or better known as ATRAM. He is responsible for marketing the company's fund products, and he manages the advertising and awareness campaigns for the overall company. He also leads product development team that ensures that the best and the most innovative products are actually available to its investors like us, right? So he earned his degree in a Bachelor's of Science in Commerce in Management in Financial Institution at the De La Salle University, and is also a certified investment solicitor by the SEC. So without further ado, let us all welcome Mr. Andrew Cao to the stream. Welcome, Andrew. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Am I coming in clear, the audio?
Yes,
Yes,
very, very
I am.
clear.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I hope, again, let me first thank Philip for inviting me over, inviting Atram over for tonight's stream, no? And I hope, again, everyone, all 71 viewers right now, I hope that everyone's staying safe, healthy, right? In terms of course, during this pandemic, I hope everyone's safe and healthy. And let's I hope that everyone will be able to enjoy tonight's session, full of learnings. I hope I hope we can impart to everyone. Yes, Philip.
I'm sure that we will learn a lot from you, Andrew. So thank you also for being here in behalf of Atram, right? And I keep telling friends that maybe the ECQ is also a good reason to stay in and maybe just listen to a night of learning. Again, I echo what you say. I hope everyone is keeping safe in their homes and your loved ones are also safe as well. So tonight, I think without any, I mean, it's all over the screen, right? We're gonna talk about a very exciting product. So this has probably been in the market for a couple of years already, but has little change. So before we really started, Andrew, with G Invest, just with the money market fund, right? Like just one fund offering. It was in the GCash app that people we're thinking, okay, ito lang ba talaga yung meron dito and whatnot. But now we're actually launching new product and And that's only possible because of ATRAM. So why don't you kick us off, and maybe we can talk about ATRAM, what its role is, and I'll bring the slides over so that you can talk through those.
Yes, yes. Okay, again, hi, again. Good evening, pala to everyone. Again, let's start it off with who is Atram. Kasi I'm sure, maybe a lot of us hasn't heard of Atram before, no, or what they call ATR Asset Management. So maybe I just go briefly lang, sandali lang, no, on this slide, no. Again, ATR Atram, or or ATR Asset Management, basically is our core business is really asset management, managing the money and funds of people and investors. Also loan coming up with funds, all of these investment funds, it's also our core business. And of course, we launched our recently, a couple of years ago, our own fintech business. You might heard of it. It's called Seedbox, right? Maybe some of you are investors already in Seedbox. So our total AUM, or what we call assets under management, the money that we manage for our investors, is a total of around 130 billion, no, as of end of Feb. No, and little that people know, this is actually the sixth largest trust AUM in the industry. Of course, the top names are Sina, BDO, BPI, and the rest. Of course, the usual names. But little people know we're actually the sixth. So that's very important, no, in terms of how strong we are, in terms of how much people have entrusted their funds, no, and their money that we manage for them. That's very important. Also, a couple of information that I also included in terms of feeder funds. Some of the funds that are within G Invest, that we probably will talk about later this evening, is what we call feeder funds. And with Atram, we have 51% market share locally in terms of size, in terms of AUM. And the next player was probably 18 to 12%. So layo, di ba, in terms of market share. So why were we able to get this market share? Because way back in 2014, when no one wanted to launch feeder funds or these global investments, we were the first to come up with these funds. And I was telling Philip offline kanina is that we went to Singapore and we talked to global fund managers and met with them and say, hey, let's do business here in the Philippines and do launch these type of global funds. No, and that was the story behind these feeder funds, for Atram. And I guess the rest is just history. Ika nga. So yeah, then that basically it in terms of who is ATR. And please visit our website, of course, www.atram.com.ph, and all of our details are there. So yun lang. So I won't keep this much.
Yes.
Ika nga.
But I think Andrew,
In terms of
so
yeah.
essentially, right, for our newbie investors in the stream, right? So ATR Asset Management, basically, you guys are the force or the management force of all of the funds that are available in G Invest today, right? So
Yes,
essentially, if they
yes.
buy into the fund, kayo yung nagmamanage ng assets na yun eventually.
Currently, yes. All of the funds, all the five funds inside G Invest are Atram, are managed by Atram, and Atram. You see all the name of Atram brand and everything. It is Atram who we are the fund managers technically of these funds. So definitely, it's very important for you to know who Atram is,
Yes.
because at the end of the day, kailangan alam natin. We need to know who are basically are the managers of these types of these funds that we are investing into. Our hard-earned money we're investing
Agree,
into.
agree.
That you guys know who we are and who is basically managing the funds.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's very helpful, right? To put a face to actually like the whole invisible army of people who are actually managing the funds. So we've been
Yeah.
talking about the five funds that are currently in G Invest, and I think Andrew will actually take us through the exciting things that are happening there. So Andrew, I'll let you go through the topics, but guys on the stream, if you have questions in the middle of the stream, right? If you have baka may question kayo on the specific fund, then we can obviously take questions, and I'll try to moderate as best as I can.
Sure, sure. Okay. Thank you for that. I see a question now. Who is ATR? What does ATR
ATR.
mean? It's actually the initials of our principal owners, no? Arnaiz, Tordesillas, and Rojas. Ayan. Ramon Arnaiz, Manny Tordesillas, and Randy Rojas. So basically, that's ATR. So anyway, FYI lang sa people who would like to know. But right now, we're just rebranded ourselves as ATRAM. We don't call ourselves, we don't go for the long name na ika nga na
Okay.
ATR Asset Management, although that's our real name, no? But alam mo na, uso ngayon yung mga sino-shorten
Acronyms.
up yun, di ba? Yung mga names para pag hinashtag or pinag-usapan,
Yes.
mention, mas mabilis. So that's why we're going for the ATRAM, no? Yan.
Got it.
Okay. Again, this I think this is one slide that I think I mentioned earlier in terms of we're among the players in the industry. We're basically fifth or sixth largest in terms of the industry. All right. So with that, maybe we can move on. And this is basically our range of funds. Yung five funds na pinag-usapan namin kanina is basically within G Invest. But within our Atram universe, we have over 30 funds. Imagine that. We have over 30 funds that you can actually invest. Yan. Ang daming options. As you can see, in-address namin lahat mga product gaps. Ayan. Lahat ng product gaps, there's a fund specifically for that, for your specific needs. But anyway, without maybe we can go straight to to G Invest. The very thing that I guess everyone is talking about in terms of my investment journey. Where Philip, you have your own investment
Yes.
journey. Everyone in this view watching us right now has their own investment journey or would like to start their investment journey
Yes.
pa lang. And this is basically your one first step no to that basically or your what we call your retirement or your financial goals or your financial independence no ika nga with the lingaw what Philippines are talking about financial literacy and everything. This is the first step. Ayan. So with that, maybe this is the first fund that we have when we launched G Invest, or it was called Invest Money pa, if you would
Yes,
remember.
that's
It was
true.
called Invest Money. Baka makaram. Ano nangyari sa Invest Money? Nawala. But
The
no, it's
rebrand.
rebranded now. It's called G Invest because aligning it with G Life. Ayan, G
Mm.
Save. Diba? Inalign lang naman no in terms of the branding within GCash. Ayan. So ayan, our first product that Atram is basically a fund provider. Again, Atram is a fund provider inside G Invest. Is our first product when we launched Invest Money, or G Invest is an Atram money market fund. This fund is particularly is suited for the conservative investor. Tandaan natin, let me go through it again. There are different types of investors. Philip, right? There's basically a conservative investor, there's a moderate investor, and there's an aggressive investor in terms of risk return profile. Ano ibig sabihin ng risk return profile? How much return or how much risk am I willing to take for that investment? Right? So for example, conservative, medyo I don't want to take too much risk. I don't want to lose my capital or my investment. Gusto ko capital protection, parang ganun. Medyo hindi ayoko rin masyadong magalaw like the stock market. Parang gano'n. So, conservative. No? Then you have a moderate, which is right smack in between both the conservative and aggressive. No? And aggressive is really, they're really volatile types of, there could be investments that really could be very volatile. But however, the returns are really, the potential returns are greater. Diba? Do we have an investment saying, of course, Philip, diba? We all have heard of it. Uh, the higher the risk, the higher the return. The
Correct.
lower the risk, the lower the return. There is no such thing as low risk, high
High
return.
return.
Parang wala. Hindi, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. Right? So basically, we pay what we get. Ika, no? We get what we pay for. No? Ika, and it's like for conservative, for money market, it's really, ang laman yan is really time deposits and short-term bonds. Ano ibig sabihin ng short-term bonds? Mga government bonds yan, mga corporate bonds or government bonds that will be maturing within 1 year. Ayan yan ibig sabihin niya. So medyo yung interest niyan o yields niyan mababa din, right? And time deposit, we all know. Ano ba ang time deposit rates ngayon? Wala pang 1%.
Correct.
Gross. Gross pa, right?
That's true.
So ayan ang laman yan. But however, yung walang masyadong risk dito because if you see, kung titignan mo yung graph nito sa G-Invest, medyo parang pag ganun lang, slow but steady increase. but don't expect those great returns. Ayan. However, this is suited for investors for that, no? For conservative, no? Medyo, this is a perfect fund for mga conservative investors starting up, yung mga newbies, like Phil mentions, yung mga newbies, maganda. This is a fund that you can try. And kasi 50 pesos lang. 50 pesos lang, Phil,
To open.
pwede na mag-invest. This is the cheapest. I can put my name into this. This is the cheapest minimum investment out there. In terms of if you want to start investing, guys, if everyone in the viewers, and everyone watching, you want to transcend from being a depositor to an investor. Iba yan ha, dalawa yung ibang yan. Di ba, Philip? Depositor, malaman no, time deposit, savings account. Hindi ka
Correct.
tawag investor ha, hindi pa yan. Investor, ito na. You start investing in these types of instruments. And actually, the goal and the dream of our regulators, BSP, SEC, is that for all Filipinos to transcend and move from becoming a just pure depositor to becoming an investor. We're not saying deposits are bad.
Correct.
Dapat meron ka pa rin yan in your portfolio. Dapat meron pa rin. But for you to go into your investment journey, your next step is ito na, investments. And ito na yun. So,
And I think Andrew, you
so
you you actually said a very important thing, right? Here it's conservative, so you also do not expect very very amazing returns, right? I think typically ba in your experience, who are the people who actually go put significant amounts of money into this fund, right? Aside from those newbies na parang nagta-try lang, are there people who actually put in significant amounts of money into a money market fund?
yes, definitely. There are people who are already investors, no, that still put money into the money market fund because they want an instrument or an investment that yields them higher than time deposits, but they can get their money within agad-agad, no?
Agad-agad.
Readily, I can get it. No, normally, of course, all of these funds are wala naman holding period, but readily available kasi money market, you can really get it agad-agad in terms of settlement dates and stuff, but there's no much risk in terms of market volatility.
Got it.
Redeeming it or selling it at the right time or the wrong time, wala nang ganun masyado. So I need the money, di ba, agad-agad. But I still want to earn a little bit more than higher than interest than time deposits or savings. This is it.
Got it. Okay.
Yun.
Very
Ang
very
maganda
clear.
dito, Philip, is that normally, these types of investors, they have money market, they have also others in some other investments. That's what you call, I like to share, is what you call diversification. Again, again, we all heard of it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, di ba?
Correct.
May isa pang kasabihan, you can't eat eggs every day, every morning. Hindi ka
Correct.
magsasawa ka rin. Di ba? Yung isa pa yung kasabihan. So in a sense, again, going back, it's that really you want to have a diversified portfolio when you invest. No, so if you can put much more, that's where you can more or less what you call manage risk or manage volatility. Ayan, that's perfect for in terms of that fund.
Got it.
Ayan, so no, this is the first fund that we have, and the second fund we have is what we call the ATRAM Total Return Peso Bond Fund. It is a fixed income fund similar to the money market fund, but however, ang laman niyan are more what we call long-term debt instruments. Meaning, laman niyan ay puro uh, mga fixed income or bonds ng gobyerno or ng corporates. Ayan. So, yan ang mga laman yan. No? And it is managed by one of our, of course, guys in terms of our investment team. Highly awarded, highly recognized, global, regionally rin as well in terms of being a fixed income fund manager. So, ang laman nito, so therefore, kung isa, wala pang 1 year, ang laman nito basically is more or less 1 to 5 years yung mga
Okay.
laman ng mga debt instruments, so yung mga before maturity. So, with that, more or less, you can expect higher yields than compared to the money market. So by virtue. So, but of course, this is more of a moderate investor dito. Yung isa conservative ito, moderate naman. For if you're a moderate investor, I want to invest in this one, so I don't want too much risk, but I'm still a little bit willing to get that higher return, no? Graduate from money market, ito na yung perfect fund. Later, pakita ko sa inyo yung performance ng fund nito, no? So very very something important for us to notice, no, and to take note of later, no? Ito yung mga benefits if you attend Philip's sessions, eh. You get a lot of information
Insights. Yes.
afterwards and insights, no, in terms of the performance of the funds, kung anong magandang fund, anong tips, yung mga nakikita ko sa comments,
Correct.
and everything. Yan ang mga papag-uusapan natin. Yun yung benefit for you guys subscribing and listening and real watching Philip's channel. Ayan.
And then Andrew,
All
actually,
right.
you touch on it, right? Because ito, si Total Return Peso Bond Fund, you said we're a bit more longer term, so 1 to 5 years. So there's actually a question na, okay, if it's longer term, tali din ba yung money ko into the fund? Or because it's a fund, I can still take the money or withdraw the money anytime?
And the beauty of, again, for a fund is that you can it is what the fund invests in must be liquid and tradable instruments. In layman terms, you can get in and get out of the fund anytime. Walang holding period because may presyo siya, may merkado siya, meron siyang price on a day-to-day basis. So hence, you can basically, there's a price every day, there's a NAV pool, so you can get in and get out of the fund anytime. Ayan. So
Even if the
when I say 1 to
underlying
5 years, yun
assets.
lang yung laman lang. Yun ang laman nun, pero hindi yan yung holding period. Ayan. So let's later I think I have a slide about
Yes.
mga recommended investment horizon.
Correct.
Ayan, yun. I think that was the slide there where it's may mga funds na mayroon recommended na dapat ito yung horizon, investment long term mo or investment horizon mo for you to invest in it. Para to more or less make sure that you don't get hit by the volatility or the risk of that particular mark or the
Got it.
fund.
Very
Ayan,
helpful.
so
So,
yung
for everyone pala, Andrew, before we go to the next one, right? Guys, I'm trying to manage questions. I'm not I'm not deliberately not minding questions. I'm trying to manage them. Tinatiming ko siya sa right na topic so that we can flow. But keep those questions coming. I am keeping track. Don't worry. And then Andrew can
medyo pasensya na, dumadami na yata.
Oo nga eh. Sige lang. Kaya natin yan. But I think very,
But
very good questions coming our way, Andrew. So I'll prompt you once I think the questions are more or less in line with the topic. So I think
Yeah.
we have the
Keep
third
it
one.
coming, keep it coming. Sasagutin natin lahat yan as much as possible.
Yes.
Maikli lang naman yung presentation ko, but Philip said he wants it to be more engaging with the audience and sense that let's keep it engaging.
Yes.
So anyway, the third product that we have is what we call an equity fund, an equity index fund. Nako, guys, if you ever wanted to invest in the stock market but it was scared about investing in the stock market or very takot kung paano ba to, in all of that, ito na yun. This is the fund for you, when it comes to equity index, Philippine Equity Index, It is the ATRAM Philippine Equity Smart Index. It is basically an index fund managed by ATRAM as well, again, actively managed rin as well. If there's such a thing as an actively index fund, ito na yun. It is a very unique fund in the market. It is it's based basically on several how we manage it. We follow the index, and plus it's more or less a little bit of rule based in the sense that we have our own formula, quote unquote, na made it smart, na tries to at least try to outperform the market pa rin, no? So that's the ultimate objective. So again, if you want to finally invest in BDOs, in Ayalas, in San Miguel, and all of these companies, Robinsons, the Gokong Ways, and everything, ito na yun. Ito na yun. It is basically a fund wherein all of them is a basket full of stocks inside, diba? And we manage it for you. We actively manage it for you. And they basically you just invest in it and you redeem or you sell whenever you need to, diba? Or add more, no? So again, for this one, kailangan aggressive na yung risk profile mo, no? Kasi stock market na, di ba? We all heard about these stories about the stock market, how volatile it is, how market movements. Totoo yun, no? That's why you get a fund manager to do it for you. To do it for you and manage it for you. Right, Philip, we were talking about it backstage, supposedly, na talagang This is the role of the fund manager to really manage it for our investors, for our friends here, no? So that's very important. So, ayan, if you finally want to invest in the stock market, kailangan aggressive na risk to return profile mo, ito na yon, ito na yon, no? So, all right. So, I think on the next slide, ayan, I think there's another fund that
Yes.
but before that,
Before we get
yeah,
into
go ahead.
that, Andrew, before you go into global territories, right? Because this, I think, is a very, very interesting section. Before
Ibang
that,
usapan na yun.
correct, yung usapan yun. I think we can tackle a few basic stuff, right, on management fees. We said na si Atram really helps us manage our risk and a total portfolio. So, mayroon kayong a rule-based parang formulas to try to balance because this is not a typical index fund, right? Where you just follow the PSEI. You actually do active management. So I think there are several questions. I'll go through them, but the general theme is what charges are people going to have to take into account because you don't do this service for free, we assume. And also, how does that play into the NAVP use
Yeah,
from
yeah.
that concept?
I think Philip, we encounter this question a lot, di ba?
Yes.
In terms of when we talk to clients or people ask for advice and stuff. No, number one is that of course, all of these are basically what we call unit investment trust funds or UITFs. No, so pag UITFs is basically a product of a trust department or a trust corporation. Okay, so UITS basically has what we call NAVPU, what we call NAV prices or we call prices, no, a daily price, no, a daily price. Yung mga fees ng fund manager or the UITS is already tucked into the NAV price, no. So you don't need to worry basically of paying hefty fees, ika nga when you redeem or when you subscribe or midway through, charge ka bigla o ano, every day yung price na nakikita ninyo is already deducted na yung management fees, yung expenses of the fund, yung taxes even of the fund. So kaya nga ibig sabihin ng NAVPU is net
Net.
asset value, as in neto na. So anong returns na makikita natin mamaya? Net of fees, net of taxes na. Unlike yung mga bank time deposit, yung 1% gross pa yan.
May minus
No?
pa.
Kasi deduct pa yan, ng taxes pa yan and everything. Right? Ito, all of our fees are already tucked in. Net of fees, net of taxes. So lahat ng mga prices, yung 100 pesos na yan, kasama na yan dyan. You don't need to worry about everything is tucked into the fees. And management fees basically of these funds are relatively around 1%. Yung mga feeder funds namin, wala pang 1%. No? This one is 1.5%. Yung total return bond fund namin, 1% per annum. Per annum. So literally tucked in na yan on a daily basis. No? So may ibang mga questions, Philip? Si GCash ba, G-Invest, may fees ba yan?
Correct.
Sila ba? Mayroon sarili lang ng fees? Wala din. Wala din. So, there's no transactional fees in G-Invest. There's no fees on their own level. So, you have nothing to worry about, no? So, and if everything you see are net of fees, net of taxes already, no, on these funds, on these investments. So, ayun, and by the way, I mentioned earlier, 50 pesos din yung minimum investable
Correct.
nito for Smart Index. Yung peso total, 50 pesos din.
So
No?
all
Kaysa sa
three Philippine funds
all
are all
three or
50
all of our
pesos.
local funds, 50 pesos lang. I think, Philip, you had a video on this. Go watch
Yes.
his video to talk about, on these funds, no? And 50 pesos lang. No? Kaysa sa mag kape o magmahal ng Starbucks o mag-invest na lang tayo. That's what people were saying, no? And start our investment journey already. I hope I was able to answer that
Yeah,
question.
I
Yeah.
think very clear. I think the only add, I think, Andrew, is some people may not see this upfront because it's not maybe on the front page, right? But all of these management fees, the percentages you mentioned, are all on the ATRAM website and on all of the disclosure documents in the individual funds, correct?
Yes, yeah. It's part of our commitment. Basically, is really transparency. No transparency in terms of that because we're regulated by the BSP, by the Bangko Central of the Philippines. So all of our documentations are there in terms of the fees. That's why there's also a saying: before you invest, research as well. Make research, no, or even ask questions. There's community pages all over in Facebook no, so that you can ask questions, and you'll be surprised. Everyone's helpful there.
Yes.
Everyone's helpful. Everyone's helpful and answering those questions. No, so don't be scared na medyo if it's a newbie question or it's a really
Yes.
very technical question. Don't hesitate, but ask questions there. And there are so many groups out there. No, be so make research as well, Ren, as well. So investor when it comes to investing. So there's no harm. There's no harm. Wala namang mawawala sa
Mm.
atin. No? And so much to gain, nothing much to lose. No, if we do our own due diligence when it comes to investing.
Agree. And Andrew, you also are very active in those groups. So we actually sometimes see you
Minsan,
answer very
if I
active.
can, if I have time, yes, if I have time, I try to help out. I try to help out, especially if there's any clients who needs help. I try,
Yes.
but the whole community is
Mm.
helpful in general. Believe me,
Yes.
guys. Sign up for those group for those communities.
And I'll actually show those later on so that you guys have direct links to the communities that we are talking about. But Andrew, before we also jump into global funds, right? I think one of the common questions na nakikita ko on the chat box right now is, ano ba talaga yung difference ni G-Invest and Seedbox? Are there differences in fees? Bakit ba dalawang platform? What are the differences between these two? Or are they actually the same? Can you share more
Okay,
about
okay.
that?
Yeah. I think that's also a common question that I see in the chat box. You
Yes.
know, it's the difference between GCash, Seedbox. So, technically, again, GInvest is basically GCash. It's Mint. It's GCash's platform. We basically are a fund provider lang. We are a fund
Mm.
provider inside that platform. So we're running with GCash. It's basically, di ba, in GCash and GInvest. Seedbox is actually ATRAM's online platform. That's ATRAM's. We partly own it, di ba? It's a JV,
Yes.
so we own it in a sense. So mas maraming products ang nasa Seedbox, no? Mas maraming products, mas maraming options kayo in Seedbox, no? So yun ang basically difference, no? And there are other products there. Even on our mutual fund side, there's a lot of mutual funds of Atram rin there, no? So much more options. And magkano naman investments noon? 1,000 pesos rin lang. Wala
Mm.
rin mga fees, registration fees, wala rin yung mga ganon. Pareho lang, no? It's again all tucked in. And there's a question here. I see, may catch ba? Bakit walang fees? You know,
Correct.
actually, it's already the fees again are tucked into everything already into the NAV. So, you don't need to really worry about it. But of course, based generally on what type of investment are you entering, yun yung dapat na siguro yung pag-isipan, di ba? If it's the right investment for you, right? Yun yung mga ganun mga pag-uusapan. But generally, that's basically the main difference. So, something that you guys can really look and take time to also look. Baka mayroong mga products sa Seedbox na interesado rin kayo. Di ba, Philip, you are also a Seedbox investor, right? There are
Yes.
more products there on that side, right? But iba, syempre iba rin naman yung sa GCash, G-Invest, which is, iba rin yung, kasi we're running on their platform. As long as you have an account already with GCash, get fully verified,
Yeah.
boom, post, you can start investing. Di ba? Ganun lang. So,
Yes.
syempre sa Seedbox, you have to register, di ba? Get you registered, fully verified rin as well on that side. So, iba yun. So, try it.
Got it.
There's also a question, if I
Mm.
open a Seedbox account and I open sa GCash, okay lang ba? Well, technically, okay lang, right? But you have more option kasi on Seedbox side. So, pwede din.
Yes.
No? It's up to you. So, it depends on your risk-return profile.
So right now, Andrew, may question tayo on, will there be actually more funds? Because we said Seedbox has, I think, the total menu, right, of ATRAM's funds. I think most of it is there. Will there be more funds to be added in G-Invest in the future
Nako,
beyond the
nako,
five?
nako. Yes. Yan. Mga ano yan,
Ayan.
secret na ano natin. To this day, right now, we're working with GCash, of course, to having more funds, no? To be honest, again, Atram is very innovative in terms of our products and services. I already gave a sneak peek to Philip backstage ano yung mga
Yes.
products na pinag-uusapan namin sa GCash. Pero hindi ko pwede pang pag-usapan dito nga. But the answer to your question, yes, there will be. Abangan natin. It will be, again, still game changers. Ayan, game changers in terms of products, right? Because again, at the end of the day, Atram is a really fund provider, in terms of giving these innovative products and services. And we're not going to stop there in providing you in terms of the best options out there, right? And the best options out there. Yung yung sinabi ko kay Philip backstage, technically, very, very exciting. Very, very
Yes.
exciting.
Yes,
Right?
and I cannot also say, so lips
Oh,
are
you
sealed.
cannot.
I cannot, but yes, very exciting, guys. If you guys know me, I have seen maybe multiple different kinds of funds. Those funds are actually very exciting, and I'm gonna say it now, right? I'm gonna invest in those funds like very easily because those are very very exciting spaces to watch. And I think dito do si Alexis actually sort of summarized. So if you, I think for guys lang who are still a bit confused kasi we're talking about two platforms, Seedbox, if you really want to invest in the bigger menu that ATRAM offers, Seedbox is slightly better because all of the funds today are there. Yung pinaka-difference lang is the minimum is 1,000, so you don't get this 50 peso entry point, which is the benefit of doing it in GCash, right? Also in doing it in GInvest, you can do it immediately. Pag fully verified yung account mo, wala ka nang gagawin masyado, right? You will just really maybe answer a few things, and then by after a few minutes, assuming everything goes through, you actually are able to invest right away. Just like maybe two more questions on this one, and before we go to the other funds. There's a question here on Atram is also available in Call Financial. So for those who don't know, Call Financial is another platform, right, or a brokerage account that has a fund market within their platform. Are there differences ba in fees if I go through Seedbox or if I go through Call Financial?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Call Financial doesn't have our UITFs, our Unit Investment Trust Funds. Call Financial only have our mutual funds. Ayun na, right there and then, iba na. Ibang-iba yung options mo doon. No? Wala dito yung mga pinag-uusapan nating global products. No? It has its other funds out there, on the mutual fund side. No? In terms of fees, wala. Pareho lang. No? Call Financial, I don't know if Call Financial has fees, but I think the last time I checked, there's no fees also. But of course, you have to open a broker account there. No, you're required to open a broker account in those broker online platforms, right? Before you can actually trade pa. So another step pa yan, no? Two steps basically, no? But there's value into them, of course. If you're already a client of theirs, then there's no problem, right? But our products there is the mutual fund side, so it's different, no? It's different. So
Got it. And I think so. One last on the themes, right? That I'm picking up. We keep on talking about minimums, Andrew. So obviously, our viewers also are looking forward to building their portfolios with Atram, right? So the question really is there really a maximum amount, whether it's in Seedbox or in GCash? Is there a difference between the two?
well, sa GCash, you're limited by your e-wallet, no? By it depends on what type of verified account you are with GCash. Again, we're just talking about the GCash universe
Yes.
because we have to work on that on their premise and their rules, right? So again, it depends on if you're fully verified or what type of verified account you have. Then your level of amount increases on a daily basis. May ibang account sa GCash pwede 200, 100,000, may iba hanggang 500,000 a day. 'Di ba? Pero sa Seedbox wala naman ngayon pinag-uusapan kasi that's totally different, no? So it depends, no? It depends on what type of account you have, what
With
you have
GCash.
in GCash.
Okay, very, very clear. Okay, thanks Andrew for taking those questions. Right, before lang we go into this new, the fourth one, right? So I'll go there, and then I know this is gonna be exciting. So guys, this one really listen to this one.
Ayan, so we were talking about Philippine products, Philippine asset class during our first three products, yung money market, total return, Philippine equities, lahat yan, Philippines, no? Kasi Philippine bonds, Philippine stocks, no? So yun. This time, we're venturing into the global investments. Ayan, global investments right at your fingertips. Guys, literally right at your fingertips. Right, so we have two products. We have two products: the global total return and the global consumer. Let's start with the global total return. Actually, recently we did a survey in our Viber community, and we asked, no, they had This is the top two funds that they want to invest in the G Invest. It's the consumer and the global tech, because I guess that interest is so unbelievable, no, in terms of that. So again, let me first of all that this fund is what we call a feeder fund. A feeder fund is a UITF, no? It's a UITF investing in another fund. Ayan, claro again, a fund investing in another fund. Global fund. Ayan, one fund lang, one fund. Pag maraming funds, tawag doon fund of funds. Pero let's not talk about that. Ito, feeder fund. So it's one fund investing in another fund. Ayan. So it's ATRAM's job to look for that one fund and talk to the fund manager and deal with him and do all the due diligence and everything, no, in terms of managing it. And we chose basically Fidelity Global Technology. Fidelity International, one of the biggest global fund managers in the world. Ayan, kilala rin ni Philip yan, malakas ang presence niyan, no? On that in terms of globally, no? It is invested in Fidelity Technology Fund. Magic word, peso denominated. Guys, bakit importante yan? Before you invest in these global funds, kailangan you have dollars. No? You have to have dollars. You have to have an offshore account, invest in them, remit the money to these global fund managers. Kasi wala naman silang opisina dito, di ba? And stuff. Dito, technically, your peso is basically buying Apple stocks. Your peso is literally buying Google stocks. Imagine that, no? It's peso denominated, so no need to worry about, ay, wala akong dollar, kailangan ko papapalitan pa yan sa money exchange pa yan, di ba? O ano, wala na yan, don't worry about it. Atram will take care of it for you. And this fund is invested in softwares and technology, semiconductors. Ayan, ito, China technology, digital advertising, Internet of Things, tawag dyan, IoT. Anything that's connected to the internet, yung ref nyo, yung TV nyo, Internet of Things yan, ha? Smart TVs, self-driving cars, electronic cars, digitalization, video games, and AI. Ayan. So, yan yung mga laman nito. Ito yung mga laman ng fund na to. So, unbelievable in terms of access, no? So why would you even actually invest in this fund? Because number one is it provides you growth. Kasi if you want those great returns, but of course, this is an aggressive fund din kasi global na, tapos equity siya. So you have to have an aggressive risk-return profile. So if you invest in it, growth, these you can give you those big, nice double-digit returns. But of course, there's a risk about it. Then it provides access. Ito, gone are the days nga before you can invest in this fund. Now you have access to it for 1,000 pesos lang, di ba? Philip, di ba? You and I are investing in this fund in terms of access. No? Murang-mura lang. No? Nothing stopping you to make regular investments. No? Regular 1,000 pesos, kahit every month, kahit every semi-annual, o kahit every quarterly. It's up to you. Basta regular investment, access to that. Because murang-mura na eh. Right? And diversification, of course. Like I said earlier, it is invested in 30 to 40 stocks of tech stocks globally. And ito yung mga top 10 holdings niyan, guys. Samsung. May mga bang hindi nakakakilala sa Samsung? Hindi lang to Samsung phone na yung cellphone na Samsung ref, Samsung aircon, TV, everything, the whole firm. Right? Alphabet. Alphabet is the mother company of Google. Yan, Google. Then Foxconn, basically, sila yung mga gumagawa ng mga PS5, Nintendo. Sila yung hardware yung gumagawa nung para sa mga brands. No, they are the leading ones, no, to do that. Pati mga phones, BlackBerry, all of that, sila yung mga gumagawa ng hardware and everything for that. Apple, naku, everyone wants Apple, right? Literally, everyone wants a share of the Apple, literally. No, then there's Microsoft. Of course, everyone knows Microsoft, Bill Gates, Cisco, internet connection. There's Intel, Visa. Visa is considered as technology na yun, kasi fintech eh, no? Analog devices rin as well, NXP, these are semiconductors, no? Big semiconductors and software companies, no? So biggest names in the market today, globally when it comes to tech names. Ayan. Ito pa, yung mga other names inside the portfolio kasi sinabi ko they have 30 to 40 names. And syempre hindi ko na linagay lahat, but ito na, I guess no need. Parang ano siya, no need for a hard sell. Ika nga kasi alam na natin yung mga pangalan dyan, di ba? Netflix, nako, sino ba hindi nanonood ng Netflix ngayon? Activision, Rakuten, gaming, Western Digital, yung hard drive nyo, malamang Western Digital yan, yung hard drive
Correct.
nyo, yung portable. And so on and so forth. No, Adobe and all of the rest are very very good names. One thing about the tech fund is that there are other tech funds in the market today, but there are medyo nasa digital tech, medyo digital marketing or FANG, no, stocks and all of that. Ito goes medyo mas ano siya, um, less sexy type of tech. Meaning it goes hardcore. It goes back to your the real essence of tech, which is software, semiconductors. It actually has other companies that uses tech in their day to day, and they're invested in it. No, so this fund also invests in the future unicorns, the future Apples, the future Googles. No, it's not, of course, it's not named. Hindi siya nakalagay dito kasi hindi pa natin kilala yung mga yon, right? Kasi but it is invested in also in that side of the tech, no? So hence that way we're able to give us those great returns, no, over the long term. And
And I think,
okay,
Andrew, ang question, right? While some of these we know, I think the question here is because some of these companies, like, I don't even know personally, right? And I think that's the beauty of it because we have you guys who actually do the market landscaping, looking at a global lens, kung ano yung mga companies. But maybe aside from like yung mga yung mga malalaki na mga common household names, how often do you actually look into sino ba yung companies within the fund? Is that
yeah,
like a monthly
every
thing?
month, every month, these guys, the global fund manager has to give their an Excel file, na doon lahat yung pangalan, and it's for us to see. We can't, of course, we can't show it
Mm,
to the general public, right? Top 10 holdings lang ang pwede na gusto natin ipakita. Kung hindi, ikokopya ng mga kalaban natin.
correct.
Just in case.
Yeah, correct.
But that's our job. That's our job. That's part of ATRAM's job is, we have monthly calls with these global fund managers. We have monthly briefings, outlooks, sessions with them, and talking about so what is the strategy of this fund? Okay, something happened in the market, ganito, anong reaction natin? Yung mga ganon, no? So we also have discussions with them. To be honest, personally, I handle the product development as well of ATRAM. These global fund managers is basically on my WhatsApp number. All of them. There's just one text away if I need something. Because tayo ang kliyente nun eh, di ba? Ng mga global fund
Correct.
manager. We're investing with them eh. So all of us are basically investors to that. So if we need something, those are things that we need information that's very critical in how we manage these funds. We have them. No, kaya compared to kunyari if you were to do it by ourselves, right? I
Yes.
invest in Apple, I have to do my own research, I have to do my allocation, I have to do my own computation in terms of all of that. That's where we come in because we have our first-hand information from the fund manager, which we rely on their research capabilities, no? And normally yung mga fund managers ito, doon sa Silicon Valley sila naka-base. Hindi sa Asia, ha? Doon sila base. When we have telcons with these guys, normally may time difference pa kasi nga they're based in Silicon Valley because they should be on the ground researching and having interviews and access to these companies. So, dapat lang, hindi lang dapat, right? Because we are investing it, dapat lang, di ba? So, di ba, Philip? I
Yeah.
think I'm sure you agree, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of this, right? Because all that actually happens in the back end. We don't see it. But like with very, very low barrier of 1,000 pesos, I actually am benefiting from all of that like all of that conversations in Silicon Valley. Like kung ako, I will never have that inside or like hindi naman insider pero parang insight into the technology trends, right? So I think that's really where the big aha on these funds or the big benefit to me, that's what I see and why I invest also in these kinds of funds. Now, I think
For
Andrew
sure, for sure.
will talk the other fund then because it's also another space that I think is very, very interesting. So, consumer
Naku,
trends.
itong fund na to, selling like hotcakes,
Yeah.
literally. Why is that? So because of the performance as well. But of course, in terms of it's what it can provide in the future is unbelievable, right? In terms of what it is invested in, people are can relate to where it is invested in, and hence it's called the ATRAM Global Consumer Trend Fund. This is the fifth fund inside G Invest. Nako, and it is invest again. It is a peso denominated. Again, peso denominated. No need to for you to worry about your dollars. No, to having dollars to invest in it. Investing in basically the Invesco Global Consumer Trend Fund. It is a feeder fund. So yung fund manager niya, pangalan is Invesco. So it is invested in e-commerce, video games, among the others, and experience in digital media. If you take a look at actually the pie chart, you can see ganyan karaming industries it is invested in. And on top of that, on the next slide is really this fund is really actually made for the average consumer, which is for you, for us. It is made for the average consumer kasi these are companies that we use on a day-to-day basis. As in, literally, we use and patronize on a day-to-day basis. And why not invest in these companies that we uh, have we contribute to their earnings.
Correct.
Walang, di ba? Dapat may logical sense of why we should patronize these funds, these companies as well, right? Again, also access and diversification because it has over 30 to 40 stocks inside the portfolio, and it's flexible. Later, pag-usapan natin yung flexibility because it's very, very critical. So on it, why is it made for you? One slide that I would like to show is that the orange line you can see is basically the usage of consumers, global consumers, when it comes to their smartphones. Guys, I can see the chat right now. Can I see? I'll pose this question to everyone. Has your since the pandemic started, since COVID and everything, if I would ask you, has your usage of your phone, no, has increased, decreased, or remained the same?
Nako.
Can I see? Sige, put just a chart. Increase, decrease,
Yes.
remain the same. Yun lang, yun lang. Tingnan natin. Since the pandemic, no, has your phone increased, decreased, remained the same through the year, during this pandemic? Kasi nga, globally, if you take a look at the slide right now, this is where we are. And paakyat pa siya, no? Paakyat pa siya, no? Going for the next couple of years, no? In terms of usage. And this phone is really this fund is really invested basically in that particular industry, 'di ba? So unbelievable. So why not be able to invest in that market, right? So I can see increase
I
by
think we
1
have
million
consent. I think we have
uh,
consensus.
increase by 200%. Increase tremendously, guys. Kasi ako rin mismo di ba? Personally, ako rin mismo, it's either business or isn't for leisure, di ba? Or for shopping. Say, aminin na natin, shopping, di ba? Or, ano, basta ginagamit natin, obviously, kasi it's our connectivity tool right now, right? So, why not invest in that industry, right? On the next slide, actually, is that in terms of e-commerce, paakyat din this is the data for US, no? E-commerce in terms of percentage of retail spending. People are spending a hell lot, in terms of shopping because yung nga, social distancing Do not go to grocery. If you can not go to groceries, wag ka na, 'di ba? Mag-e-shopping ka na lang, pa-deliver mo na lang, 'di ba? And all that. Here in the Philippines, we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that change, 'di ba? In terms of Grab, whatever, in terms of pa-deliver mo na lang and all of that. Aminin natin, Shopee, Lazada, add to cart, all these sales are crazy, I personally have add to cart na rin, nag-aabang na ako to the next sale itself. Yes, because kasi sa lumabas pa tayo and everything. And question is that what if bumalik na to normal, whatever that normal will be? I don't know, no? Do you think suddenly our behavior in terms of e-commerce will change? I don't think so. It is basically parang yan na yung bago di
Correct.
ba?
We've
What
moved
do
to
you
that
think,
new.
Philip?
I
Parang
think
yun na yun eh, di ba?
also now na the companies have actually pivoted to better services, right? I think in general they were all forced to do better service on e-commerce. Like ako, I would probably not shift back to doing groceries the way I did it before, right? Probably I would still go back, but there's always gonna be a hybrid of more e-commerce than what I used to before. So I think we've crossed the threshold, Andrew. We're not going back to how it was maybe in 2019.
Exactly, for sure, for sure. I mean that's exactly my sentiment as well, and the fund manager sentiment is that eventually this is basically the new norm. We'll adjust. Definitely, we'll go back to a certain say, way of how we do things before, but parang may convenience na eh, di ba? I
Yes.
personally, to be honest, before the lockdown, I still go to the bank, line up, pay bills, deposit. Pero dahil dito, I was forced to do online everything, e-commerce, and I love it. And since I'm not looking back, I'm never gonna go
Correct.
line up in the bank anymore, no?
Yes.
And then since guys, so obviously, ganun rin ang how it is. So in terms of mobile, in terms of media consumption, before you go to radios, newspaper, I'm sure some mga audience mo medyo bata pa, they wanna know, they don't really
Newspaper.
want to go to radio, literally radio, FM, AM, or newspaper to get their media. They all go, where do we go? Phone, 'di ba? Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Doon natin na kinukuha yung news, 'di ba? Or Viber, right? Or WhatsApp, 'di ba? Oh, how many cases ba today in the Philippines? New
Correct.
cases of COVID. Tinitignan ko na lang sa Viber na doon na siya, no? Imagine that line, that gray line, smartphones. We get that mobile media data through phones na, no? Um, radio, newspaper, wala na yan, no? Desktop, medyo okay, di ba, laptops, but it's still on the mobile devices now, right? Unbelievable in terms of how people has changed their consumption behavior. And the next slide is, I think, is ito, video gaming, guys. Ito, anong magandang question rin, no? In terms of mobile games, imagine mo, that gray line is mobile games. The rest are consoles, PC games, Imagine the increase that we expect to increase through the years, no? Through 2021 all the way to 2020, 30, no? Imagine mo that. In terms of increase, video games. On the next slide, it actually shows also in terms of in terms of viewership, tingnan nyo, mas mataas pa. Marami ng e-gaming channels na pala, by the way. I don't know if you know, there's so many e-gaming channels right now. Signal TV, for example, came up with their own e-gaming channel, and the ratings has been unbelievable, actually. Ratings and stuff, no? Imagine, mas mataas bang rating niya compared to NBA, NFL, MLB, all of these professional sports, no? The viewership is higher than that, and the cash prices are higher than all
Correct.
these professional sports, professional golf, mas mataas pa, no? Ilang billion, no? In terms of billion-dollar industry now in terms of video games, and this fund is invested in that industry then. Ayan, so why not again? Here in terms of music naman, music, guys, when was the last time we actually hold a CD? Medyo hindi ko na matandaan kung kailan yung last time humawak ako ng CD, as in letter, di ba? So if you focus on that chart in the middle, um, that has been in terms of streaming music, streaming revenues. This is Spotify, this is
Mm.
Sony, this is Apple Music. That's that market, no? Wala na nakikinig ng hard yung cassette tape or VC or CD. Wala na. It's all streaming. Even on our the cars, di ba? We put it on the phone, kabit natin, connect it to the car, and that's it. No? And through the years, on the right side of your chart, on the right side chart, you can see that through the years, the music industry has suffered because of
Mm.
piracy, because of and so many stuff. No? Bumagsak yung blue, tingnan mo yung blue bar. Nako, bumaba ng bumaba. But it has since more or less recovered because of the streaming industry, music streaming, and that's the gray part. Ayan. So, how have we shifted as well in terms of how we consume stuff, right? So unbelievable in terms of how we do things, no? So again, these are talking about stuff in terms of access and diversification. This is the industries that is invested in entertainment, and these we're not. This is just a sum of them that we were talking about. No, on the next slide is I think, ayun na, people ask, where is it invested in? I'm so excited. I want to know where it is invested in. Nako, ito yung mga top holdings, guys. It is invested in Alibaba, who owns basically Lazada. O yan na. Yung mga Lazada
Correct.
shopping natin. It owns SEA, owns basically Shopee and League of Legends. Nako, League of Legends. Who guys plays League of Legends? Type me here on the chat. League of Legends. It owns also Nintendo. It also has Animal Crossing. Nako, I don't know if you guys
Yes.
play Animal Crossing. My son plays Animal Crossing and it's unbelievable in terms of yun, it has seasons, it has damit,
Correct.
you create your own community, no? Pokemon Go. This has basically earned Nintendo earned I think over $10 billion last year just on pure revenues on
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go. Because kasi sa in-app purchases, yung mga
Yes.
in-app purchases,
Pokeball.
bili na sila ng bili, di mo alam, go-contribute ka na pala. Aminin ko, naglalaro rin ako ng Pokemon Go. Kasama ako sa nag-contribute doon. But in fun is that because it's fun, it's part of it, right? Active Blizzard, who manages basically Warcraft, Call of Duty. Oh, nako, everyone knows these games, right? Of course, it's also invested in Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Of course, no one knows, everyone knows that. Farfetch. Farfetch is basically a online na sells those luxury brands, mga Gucci, Louis Vuitton, no? All these sneaker brands, no? Medyo ano siya, medyo on the high-end brands yung binibenta niya. JD.com is also a online shopping. Caesar and EPR basically are mga theme parks, mga casinos, no? Global yan, ha? And Penn National, of course, is basically a gaming rin as well. So these are some of the names. On the next slide, nako, isa pa. Ayan, Netflix, Disney Plus. Nako, Disney Plus, Netflix, sino nanonood ng mga Falcon and Winter
Yes.
Soldier? Sino nanonood ng mga Wanda and Vision? Nako, yan. Disney Plus, Netflix. No, all of that, no? Uber, right? Firefox, Facebook, Twitter's there. Hi guys, according to fund manager, no, I don't know. So personally, hindi ko alam. Ha? Sabi daw, online dating is so big daw in so many countries. Uh, all over Asia, other countries, not just Tinder. They're talking about Coffee and Bagel, all of these other online dating. Kasi nga dahil nag-lockdown is, 'di ba, everyone's now going to the phones and meeting people. And these online dating apps skyrocketed like, you know, and they are invested in it. This fund is invested in it, no? And of course, some music streaming. Ayan. So just on the same some to mention some. Then I guess the biggest question that I always get normally for the consumer trend fund is, okay, definitely this fund is definitely benefiting from from the pandemic, from COVID, and the things that happening, no? What if dapat naman na wala nang COVID, pag nawala na ang COVID, ano na mangyayari sa fund, 'di ba? Will it still be ano? The question is actually this fund will always be invested in whatever the trend will be. It just happened. This is the trend. This has happened. This is the current trend. E-gaming and no. We'll never know what will be the current for consumers in the next 10 years. No? But what we can be sure of is that the fund manager will invest in whatever the trend will be in the next coming years because yun nga it will invest in the consumer trend. No? Just to show you in this graph, you can see that hot pink or fuchsia color. It used to be invested in one industry, mga gaming casinos and stuff. Like, totally it dropped it off because yun na yung trend yun na yung bagong trend. So if you were to ask, this is basically a type of fund that gives you that future proof. Ayan yung mga ganyan na terminologies. That gives you future proof because there are always this question, Andrew, Philip, saan ba maganda mag-invest? Saan ba maganda mag-invest ngayon? Saan ba maganda mag-invest ngayon? Di ba? That is the question we always get. Then, for us to say, invest in this type of fund because it will always adapt to whatever the trend will be. Eh. Diba? And that's why you rely on the investment and ATRAM and the fund manager technically to be able to invest in it. To be honest, before we invested in it a couple of years ago, this fund wasn't called Investor Global Consumer Trend. You used to be Invesco Gaming and Leisure Fund. Kasi nga, it used to be invested in that. Then, syempre, pinalitan nila yun. Syempre, sabi nila, hindi naman pwede every month, every year, napapalit tayo
Ganun.
ng pangalan. Kasi yun yung trend. So, pinalitan nila ng Global Consumer Trend, which makes sense. Right? Just to give you an example, that they really are serious in, again, going back to will invest in whatever the trend will be. Yeah. Ayaw ba natin yun? Di ba? Di pong, hindi na natin tatanong yung sarili natin, Philip, saan ba magandang mag-invest? So,
Right.
maganda. How many times, if I have a buck for every time a client asks me that, I actually would not be working anymore. Alam mo na yung gano'n? Yung kasabihan na gano'n, di ba? So, anyway, guys, yun na. Information for you guys, for you to be able to say, all right, I have so much funds that I can choose from. Ngayon ko nung, ano na ang pipiliin natin?
Correct.
Ayun.
Because I think,
Uh,
to be fair, right, Andrew, and I think you captured it very, very well. Kay, yung common question kasi I think that people don't truly fully appreciate yet is that guys, when Atram or the fund manager actually selects these stocks, there's a method to it, right? There's some prediction. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, right? These are all based on best available information. But I guess the question that typically comes na saan ba ako magandang mag-invest is both a factor of ano ba talaga yung gusto mo, like from your personal objective and what really resonates with you. But on the back end, which I think is the more invisible side, that I'm very happy, and do you really like triple clicked on what happens on the back end, right? Because these things, all we see is a nav pool basically, right? At the end of the day, we see returns, but we don't really know the logic of how you guys think through. So hopefully, I mean, if you get $1 per question on what product is good to invest in, you probably have $10 just from the chat box, right? So I was trying to scroll. So I guess, I hope guys, if that's your question, right? Alin ba yung magandang investan and all that? I hope that understanding what the funds are doing or where they're investing at, and that they're really adjusting, right? Hindi siya na, oh, dahil ito na yung sinabi ni Andrew today, ito na siya forever and ever. Hindi na siya magbabago. I think that's a very, very good takeaway. And Andrew, I know you have some data on returns, right, for the consumer trends.
yeah. Again, just to share again, where what I guess there, I think I saw a question there. Can we have an updated returns, diba? And stuff. And this is basically updated returns as of this writing when I did this was April 7. Take a look. Again, of course, these returns are not past returns. Again, proper disclaimers. These are all historical returns. This is basically not indicative of what it can be in the future. But what we can say is that basically we can only use this as an indicative of basically the future performance. But again, this is not guaranteed because no one knows what's going to happen in the market tomorrow or the next 10 years or so. But what we can do is that's why it's an actively managed fund. You can rely on the fund manager to really try to outperform the market or give you that best returns, whatever they can in terms of the markets. No? Okay, for the Global Consumer Trend Fund, this is as of Feb 28, 2020 to April 7, 2021. Bakit Feb 2020? It was the launch date of the fund. So basically over a year lang. 92%, guys. Diba ako, earlier I said net of fees, net of taxes. This is it. Net of fees, net of taxes. If you were to invest in this fund Feb 28, 2020 and redeemed April 7, 2021, your return, you would have gotten 92.60. I have actually a client who messaged us and said they invested 1 million
Oh,
pesos.
wow.
Imagine mo magkano ng pera niya ngayon on this fund. Yun nga, isa pa yung pinag-uusapan natin, Philip, di ba, no other day. I know the minimum is 50 pesos
Yes.
or 1,000 pesos. It's okay to start with that amount, pero we need to mature to bigger amounts eventually, kung kaya, di ba? or regular, di ba? Kasi kahit 200% yung fund mo, 100% return yung fund mo, kung if you're still at 50 pesos and you expect you're an investor at 50 pesos, technically, hindi rin siya ganyan kung kalaki, di ba? Talaga literal. So we need to start investing, I mean, that's the start of the journey. Then it's already the path is basically cleared for us in a sense that you can do already your regular investments. And year to date numbers, as if you were to invest start of the year, Jan 1 till April 7, 11.86%. Wow. Later, pakita ko pa, inside information pa later, will rank it versus competitors. Naku, yan ang maganda.
And also
Okay.
like technology, right? Also coming
Uh,
up with very, very good results.
oh my God, global technology since inception. I write there inception because it was launched April 2018. So 3 years. 3 years. 110%. I don't know kung naabutan nyo yung dating mga investments na double your money in 5 years. Nabutan nyo ba yun? Anyone? Nabutan nyo yun? Yung pauso ng mga bangko dati na double your money in 5 years. Di ba? You put 100,000, it will be 200,000 after 5 years. No? Ito, literally, double your money in 3 years in terms of that. No, year to date. So if you're to invest start of the year till April 7, 16%. Net of fees, net of taxes, no? In terms of the funds, no? These are no. But if you guys want to know the latest performance of these funds, I know sometimes it's not reflective on GCash, G-Invest. Go to our website. Go to our website. It's there. It's there. Doon nakasulat yung year-to-date performance. Then even you can put the calendar of your performance, what day to what day. Nandun siya lahat. Nandun siya lahat. Kasi it's all there. It's again www.atram.com.ph. On the next slide, I think is basically some rankings. Ayan, I don't know if you can see. This is 2020, full year 2020. Full year 2020. Yung index fund, the market did negative 8%, but the index fund did negative 6%. Oh, right? It did its job. If it's index fund, susundan lang niya yung
Sundan niya.
negative 8% na yan. Pero it did its job, right? We did our job in terms of it gave you positive 2% more or less, right? In terms of thematic, ayan, consumer trend, 72%. Wow, on 72%. Global technology, 30 plus percent. So, ayan. So, this is full year 2020. Again, if you were to invest Jan 1, 2020 to December 29, 2020. Ayan. Okay, on the next slide, I think it's just also ranking. 2021, global tech is 11%. Global consumer is 5%. O kanina, 'di ba, 7% na. Actually ngayon nasa 12% na siya ngayon, consumer. Year on year, ibig sabihin ng year on year na 'yan, guys, yung column na 'yan is basically 1 year return. So kunyari March 30 yan, 2021, yung simula niyan was March 30, 2020 to March 30, 2021. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng year on year. So 1 year return. 1 year return for 76 and 76. Naku, saan ka pa makahanap pa ng ganyan, di ba? Total return, yun isa, yung fixed income bond. Maganda rin yung performance. Number 1 siya, 1 year. 1 year. Let's look at it long term. 1 year. Not bad, 9%. Diba? So, napakagandang performance din. So guys, these funds, again, you need to reassess what is basically your investment objective. Ano ba gusto ko? Capital preservation? Tipong, gusto ko lang yung pera ko nandyan pa rin, pero konting income lang, kahit konti, masaya na ako. Basta walang chance of loss. Or gusto ko good returns, malaking returns, pero I'm willing to stomach the volatility and risk. Anong fund pwede sa akin? Ayan, mga ganyan. Anong fund, kung kunyari, ay sobrang mababa yung conservative, sobrang mataas naman yung aggressive, may moderate, meron ba sa gitna, Andrew, Philip? Meron. Yung moderate yun. Yan. So, again, we really have a lot of funds that would basically able to cater what type of investor what type of investment objective and risk appetite you have. So actually, Philip mentioned that you just have to answer some forms in the G
Yes.
Invest. You just need to answer it truthfully. Magpakatotoo tayo na in a sense anong gusto natin na type of risk and a type of return. Then from there, we will be able to assess what type of investor you are. Ayan.
Right. And I think, Andrew, this is, I think, and everyone who's watching, right, I hope what you take away is all of these funds carry certain levels of risk. I think yun yung
Yep.
lagi. So the question of ano ba yung pinakamagandang paglagyan is a very personal question, guys. And that's why probably sometimes when you ask it in the Facebook group, you also get a very, very vague answer, right? If that's really the right answer. Actually, if you will also be scared nga kung yung tao na yun bigla lang sasagutin ka ng specific fund because even for me, I don't know what Andrew's objectives are or his own personal profile is. Malay mo, conservative pala siya, right? So, the volatility of the stock market is not really for him. So, I guess, especially if you ask that, right, take it with a grain of salt every time somebody tells you na, oh, technology dahil ganito, oh, consumer dahil ganito. There's always reason for it, but at the end of the day, you take that as an input, pero kailangan mo pag-isipan, for me personally, right, magpakatotoo ka sa sarili mo, kaya mo ba to also go through the ups and downs of technology, right? And we think if you really follow the stock market, the last 2 months was Andrew very roller coaster. I don't know kung anong i-feel mo, right? Especially if you're not ready for these aggressive kinds of investments because they can really drop significantly, like 30%. Now we've all been saying the success stories of these funds because they really performed well. But in the middle of that year, hindi naman yan straight line na tumaas lang siya bigla. So I think those are a few concepts that you have to familiarize yourself with kasi nga, with the risk, you also get the potential higher returns. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Correct. Like people might probably. I've been doing this for so many years, guys, and Philip, in the sense that I don't really give up a straight answer and said, anong magandang fund, where should I invest in? Because I always give it a very uh, prospecting quite type of question muna.
Yes.
Ano ba investment objective mo? Number one. Ano ba ang how long are you willing to put that money in? Ayan,
Correct.
isa pa yan, di ba? So if you're gonna put 1 million pesos pero you would need it in next month or next week, wag na. This is
Correct.
not the perfect fund for you, right? These funds invested here are supposed to be not your excess funds. Yung mga tipong funds that you can park with for years, no? Money market for the short term. Yan, kaya nga mayroon pa na, there's still a segment of people who still would like to invest in money market, right? Pero that's why never put your retirement funds here, never put your education of your kids funds here. You know, it's not, that's how it is, right? You technically people don't transcend agad-agad. I don't have a time deposit, I don't have anything, then diretso ko investment.
Yes.
Birang-bihira lang yan. Normally, you have this first, then next you go to balance fund or, di ba? Then you go to global, right? Very rare. That's why we recommend these types of we answer these questions first. Then from there, okay, these are the recommendations,
Correct.
right? And but at the end of the day, it's still up to you to make the proper ample research. And after that, it's up to really for you to say, okay, these are the type of investments that I think would be beneficial for us based on my where I am now, where I am now as at my age and where I am financially, and where I am literally in terms of risk then as well.
Correct. So Andrew, before we go maybe into like the last tranche of slides, right? There are a couple of themes that I was gathering through the chats. One is actually so far we've seen very good returns, right? So I think there was one slide that said 29% growth, even if we took a look at the other funds, 100 plus, 90%. Do you have a sense of, especially now, right? Especially for maybe the Philippines funds, where we are at right now, do you even have like targets within ATRAM or have a sensing as to how likely would be 2021? I know you cannot guarantee it, but is there indications at least?
Well, I mean, we get that also a lot in terms of our when, of course, when we have discussions with our institutional clients as well, and others. No, um, definitely this year still has. If you want to really perform, really get good returns this year, it's really definitely number one. Fixed income is not really the right investment this year because yields are again at its all-time low.
Low.
No, in terms of yields. No, but if again, but long term naman, again, long term naman, if you have going to plan to park it for 5 years or 10 years, fixed income is saying again is a perfect investment for you because again, year in and year out, you can really assess around 4 to 5% more moderate in returns, not bad at all compared to time deposit, right? Pero with a little bit of risk. Equities will still outperform. Global equities will still obviously outperform. Philippine equities, syempre, we're still very, ano, di ba, in terms of the current cases that we have. We're very dependent on foreign direct inflows, corporate earnings as well. We're very dependent on it, so which is really based on consumption. A lot of our companies are based on consumption and stuff, no. So, but however, for example, yung smart equity index, don't get anything in terms of porque negative, hindi maganda invest. Yun nga, actually, yung time to invest when the market is actually down because you are able to buy more units. No, then pag pumalo na, bumalik ulit yung market, doble, triple
Correct.
in terms of your returns, no? The problem here is that in terms of us, not just Filipinos, but in general, in terms of investors, is that yung herd mentality. Alam mo yun, in terms of pag lahat ng tao nag invest dyan, sunod tayo dyan kasi maganda. Pag lahat lumabas dyan at nagbenta, sabay, benta na tayo kasi ano, no? Actually, dapat you should do the exact opposite sometimes in a sense, no? But again, going back, there is no wrong in terms of investing in this as long as you have a long-term investment, no? Then definitely these global funds, well, alam na natin anong laman yan, di ba? If you believe that you actually think Google, Smart, di ba, Samsung, or Apple will not do well, come on, di ba? I mean, like, proven na yan, di ba? So, you're putting where your trust in these brands and in these types of companies and in terms of consumer. So definitely they'll still give you decent returns. So again, these are stuff that it depends again on what type of investor you are. For me personally, I have invested more in the Philippine equities because I truly believe in the Philippine recovery story. But of course, I have invested as well in a lot of our global funds as well.
Right.
So
And I think
something that we talk about.
yes, what I'm taking away from you, and Andrew, right, and just to help maybe, especially for newbies, right? I think there's a question here earlier na kailan ba mag-sell, kailan ba mag-buy, right? So
Mm.
I think you mentioned it that especially when we look at performance, it's obviously always historical, right? So it's a performance as of a certain point in time. Nangyari na. Right? So sometimes the negative numbers, because I think our brains are hardwired to think negative or red is
True,
bad,
true,
green
true.
and positive is good. Sometimes we forget that all of it is historical, right? So, actually, technically, wala nang silbi yun, right? I mean, it has already happened. So, if you have not invested then technically you're not able to benefit from whether it's a gain or you also did not suffer from the loss. So, I think at isa yun, a very, very good concept to think about, especially when you think about funds. And the other one that Andrew mentioned is he said, he invested a bit more on the Philippine recovery story, right? And I think we're very at the early stages of that recovery story, right? Even right now, it's still a very big struggle. So whether you see that as an opportunity na the Philippines will really bounce back, and so hence the stock market also rallies, or is it somewhere na you think in the next few years, baka hindi pa siya ganun ka mag-rally and you actually, it's not in line with your objectives, then maybe those are the questions you ask yourself para makadetermine ka where you actually put your money. Right? So I think hopefully these examples, right, we keep telling you multiple scenarios because it's really not easy to answer. I think that's if you get one key takeaway from this session, right, asking saan ko ba ilalagay ang pera ko is a very, very personal choice. So,
I know if I can answer that question right to everyone. I mean, but everyone has different aspects of where they are in terms of
correct.
that, where they are financially, where they are, in terms of goals, right? Iba-iba eh. That's why pasensya na minsan kung sa community page, if you see that, if you're active, or si Philip will also say, depends on your investment goal eh. Depende on your long-term. Siyempre, ano ba yan? Sagutin nyo na akong diretso, di ba?
Correct.
Ganun. Pasensya na, but all we want is basically to recommend, no, what would be the best fund suited for you. Kasi iba-iba yan eh. To be admit, my portfolio of funds is totally different from Philip, right? Without telling, even me, without even asking Philip, because I have different goals and I have different stuff that I also have, no, in terms of my own personal investments. Iba-iba yan eh, no? So pasensya na, but that's why we're all here this evening eh. That's why Philip created this stream, and for everyone to say, for us to be educated in a sense na informed pala, no, in a sense na uy, pwede, uy, oo nga. Yung mga ganon na lang na maybe I should reassess again what type of investor I am, or what do I really want. Can I really park my money that long, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Andrew, good springboard to this other question, right? On are there
Yeah,
other
yeah.
tips on managing portfolio? Because again, right, it's not just even stocks, right? If you really think about it, it's a total universe of different kinds of investment. So aside maybe from rebalancing, for those who are not aware of the term, this is like when you adjust your allocation of investments, or if you have diversification, right? So whether paper assets or may real estate ka pa, are there other tips ba that you would recommend for, especially for long-term investors? Maybe one more tip on top of these two.
In terms of tips, is that ito pa yung what I notice in questions, no, that I always get rin as well, is that they tend to check their prices on a day-to-day basis, no,
Yes.
in terms of the funds. If we were to do that, you'll have a heart attack. Believe me, if you don't have, if you'll have high blood pressure by the end of your investment, journey. Because fund prices, I know there's those, you can look at it on day to day, but it's not really recommended. I do remember way back when there was a crisis before. I wasn't with Atram yet. There was a question, bumabagsak yung markets. I think we should send out texts of the daily prices to investors. Text, yung uso pa kasi SMS noon, text, wala pang Viber at ano. Sinabi ko, the hell no. Of course. What? Kung everyday bumabagsak yung market, makita mo yung price yung everyday, nakikita mo parang, high blood pressure yung tao, right? All you need is you put in the prices, in the websites and everything, and inform them what you need, and have engagement and discussions with them. Again, funds are really for long-term investors. I think I have a slide there, Philip, in terms of your recommended investment horizon. But again, going back, it's really you need to have a long-term investment horizon when it comes to investing in funds. And when I say that, don't even look at it on a day-to-day basis. Parang kahit week on week lang man lang, pwede na. I mean, at least nababantayan natin, no? There is what we call recommended investment horizon. This is not the holding period, guys. This is not the holding period, because like I said, wala naman holding period eh. Take a look, no? When you say recommended investment horizon, it is more or less, if you do this, if you follow this, more or less you will be able to ride the market volatility. When you say market volatility, yung mga market ups and downs, no? Kasi kadalasan minsan talagang you can't really time the market, no? So again, pag money market, ayan guys, tip na to, money market, more or less 1 year. Lagay mo dyan pera mo 1 year, okay ka na. More or less. Pag bond funds, pag long term, yung po peso total return, 5 years, 3 to 5 years, pwede na. Okay na, lagay mo na dyan. Huwag ka na mag-alala. By the time of that, at end of that, sigurado happy kayo. I'm sure of that, more or less. The balance fund, ganun din, 3 to 5 years. Equity, 5 years or more. No? Pag feeder funds, 3 to 5 years, guys. Talagang ganun yung investment horizon talaga natin. No? Recommended naman siya. No, but of course, iba-iba rin yan in terms of when it comes to different people, different aspects. But this is more or less the general investment stuff that we give out for investment advisory when it comes to investing, guys. The prices are there. I know G-Invest, especially when you G-Invest kasi you see it on a 1 week basis lang yan
Yeah.
yung chart. 1 week basis. Go to our website. Go to our website hanggang since inception yan. So makikita mo yung galaw ng 1 week na yun, halos hindi nakikita sa graph.
Correct.
As in, literally, that's how it is. But may iba, bumabagsak na, umakit na ulit. Di ba? Yung mga ganun. So, it's okay. It's okay. But, again, it's not really recommended. I personally don't even look at my investments. I just put it there. I don't look at it. Then I just look at it every quarter, and so on and so forth. And that's it. No? I do, because I do have a lot of stuff to do also within my firm and within the industry that I don't usually have time. But that's what the beauty of these types of products, di ba, Philip, is that
Yes.
if you don't have time to really monitor the market, these are the perfect investments for you. Rather than, if you are a stock trader, stock broker, a daily trader, then that's what you live for. Basically, that's what you're earning for a living, technically speaking. Okay yan, because that's what you do, di ba?
Correct.
But people have businesses, people have trabaho, right? And they have to go on do whatever they need to do, right? So, and investing is making your money work hard for you. Yeah, and it's working hard for you while you also work for you and for your family.
Correct. I think very, very helpful, Andrew, on that tip, right? And I think personally, on my own way, I'm actually somewhat like you, na hindi ko rin siya tinitingnan. I don't even know what the NAV po is for today. Right? And I think, guys, one of the concepts really here when you do fund investing is, number one, I think if you've already done it, you notice that the transactions are not instantaneous. Right? They're not like stock trading na pag click mo sell, done. Right? Here in funds, there's always a cut-off, there's a processing time, especially when Andrew discussed earlier about feeder funds, right? May fund pa na isa pang pinapasukan. So, all of that cannot happen very at the snap of a finger kind of transaction. So, I think some of us got confused when G-Invest was introduced na parang, oh, ayan, tumaas na siya ng 2%. Gusto ko na i-pocket yung gain. Pero ay, 7 days wala yung aantayin ko bago ko makuha yung pera. So, again, that's why, number one, in funds, you really cannot time it just because of the processing time. And also, it wasn't designed for that. Right? And then maybe as a second personal tip, what I do is I regularly invest money. Again, ang question kanina is kailan ba okay bumili at kailan okay magbenta? And ito, isa din to. Kung may piso din per question na to, I think yayaman na ako. Okay? Kung kailan ba okay magbenta? Guys, if I knew that, I would not be doing this. I would be probably swimming in money, right? So, and living a happy life. And the thing is, no one really knows. Even these professional fund investors, they don't know. And that's why the answer is, besides timing the market, meaning huhulaan mo kung kailan bababa or aakyat, because even if feeling mo bumaba na siya, hindi mo naman alam kung bababa pa lalo, right? You don't even know if that's the bottom. We only know it if we're looking at it from a historical standpoint, which is always 2020, right? As what they say. So, since no one really knows, then the suggestion that you guys are hearing from both of us is that keep regularly investing. Trust na merong managers who actually actively look at the composition of the fund is, I think yun, right? Na if the trend shifts, then the fund shifts along with the trend, and hopefully they continue to do very good jobs because that's what the company is there for, right? For us as investors, that they actually technically manage our money for us, right? Hindi yung money working for you. So, I hope that comes across a bit more clearly. Kasi pag nagpula nakikita natin, Andrew, di ba minsan nakaka-FOMO na, ala, yan na, bumababa na siya. So, parang, ano naman to?
Yun nga.
Right?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
So I think those are some of the things that you have to think of and consider, especially if you're looking at funds, right? Andrew, I think just as a last section before we go into the draw, which I'm actually, guys, reminding you, I am getting maybe around, based on the viewers right now, I'm getting mga 67% yung nag-sign sign up for the giveaway.
Uy, sign
So
up pa kayo.
sign up
Sayang
na kayo
yun.
doon, sayang, right? So we're giving 5 prizes, so 5 winners via the raffle draw, which will happen very soon. So please do that in the next maybe 2 to 5 minutes, right? You have bit.ly/ginvest giveaway, right? Just answer the few questions. I will do a live raffle early, like in the next few minutes, right? But Andrew, maybe one final topic that we can talk about, right? On fund classification. On the screen, I have the more basic types, right? I think money market, bond, balance, and equity. I think most of us have understood based on what you've explained earlier. But itong mga special UITFs are always the confusing part, right? Because they're a bit unique to your point, and ATRAM being the market leader, right, having the lion's share of the market, you guys have actually done a very good job on these kinds of UITF. So can you take us through ano ba yung difference ng feeder funds and fund of funds, and how does the actual transaction happen, I think, for appreciation?
Yeah, great. Again, for UITS, there's this is basically a new classification. No, not relatively new, but it's been feeder fund markets in the industry in the Philippine industry is still relatively young compared to markets, no, in Hong Kong, Singapore, and in Taiwan, and in also in Japan, where there's so many feeder funds out there, so many fund of funds out there in the market. No, so sobrang dami. No, but us relatively, it's still growing pa lang. No, it's still growing. So again, feeder funds, like I said, is basically us as a fund manager choosing another fund, no, doesn't have to be isn't actually global, eh, no.
Correct.
Basta another fund feeding it's investing 90 at least maximum at least 90% of its total money into that one fund. Ayan. So one fund investing in another fund. So one to one lang talaga, no? For us, for Atram, we invest 99% of the assets of the money into the target fund or the one fund that we choose, because for us in Atram, we do believe that that's why you're investing with us, eh, diba? It's like mirroring as if you're invested in that fund. Why would we keep 10% cash somewhere and
Correct.
di ba, parang mayroon pang drag sa performance if ever it is doing very well. No, though vice versa, pag pangit yung performance ng sa yung 10% could really be beneficial. But for us, that's why you're investing in a feeder fund. That's because we want to mirror at least the performance of the fund, no? So again, guys, 1:1. It doesn't have to be a global fund. I've seen a fund investing in a Phil equity fund. To be honest, sorry pero diretso na lang ako sa Phil equity. Parang ganon, di
Exactly.
ba? I don't understand, sorry, but global kasi I don't have access to it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so yun. Fund of funds is basically one fund, the UITF, investing in 3 to 4 or 5 other funds. Ayan. So, yan ang laman niya. Mga at least 3 to 4, ayan, at least more than one. Pwede dalawa lang. Pero what I'm seeing out there is more or less mga 3 to 4 is the magic number, no, what I see na fund of funds. So, yun mga laman yan. Yan, exacto yung illustration. So, pretty much, it's pretty simple and cut na in terms of you need to worry. But so when it comes to feeder funds, it's very important for us to know who is the target fund.
Yes.
Sino yung target fund? Kasi nga, uy, baka kilalang kilala yan. Pero takot mo rin naman kung baka the fund manager is investing in a no-name fund. Di ba? Parang scary din yun, di ba? So, parang ganon. So, it's also we need to be very transparent in terms of showing who is basically also the target fund. Ayan, so that's also very important. Then if you actually, as Atram, we always bring along the fund managers, and in terms of some meetings and stuff, no? Kasi you want to create that really impression as if they really are invested in that fund, right? So the whole experience, investing in it is very important.
Got it. And Andrew, because of the special nature of feeder or fund of funds, right? Because I understand if I'm the client and if I invest in your feeder fund, for example, I get the ATRAM management fee, right? But obviously,
Yeah,
the target fund also has to, it has its
yeah,
own infrastructure and backbone running that fund.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
in
Mm-mm.
essence, am I paying two fees? And do I have to worry about these fees separately?
more or less what you call is that how Atram does it, deals. Ito yung magic Kasi because you're dealing with Atram, you're investing with Atram, we are able to lobby for fees, no, with the target fund. We are able to get into the special share classes of these funds because we are an institutional investor. Ayan, so very important. Mababa. More or less, it's all tucked in na rin, no? But what you're saying is, if I were to invest straight to the target fund, di ba? Parang gano'n,
Yes.
meron ka pang transactional fee, meron ka pang yung retail share fees, retail fees, plus yung remittance mo pa ng
Extra
pera from
pa.
Philippines to
Correct.
magwa-wire transfer ka pa, all of that. Wala na yun. Gone or, you take that all out. That's why at the end of the day, it's still more cost efficient to invest in these types of funds, in these especially active managed funds. I've
Mm.
seen a lot, but in the backstage we were talking, Philip, that there are a lot of funds out there locally dito na feeder funds that are investing in ETFs or
Yes.
iShares. These are not active managed funds, and this is like index funds.
Correct.
No, sa Atram we are active fund managers. Just to share, we all of our funds are actively managed. Importante sa amin yun because Atram takes view or really believes in active management, no? Because we want to give a chance to outperform the market, no? We don't just follow. We are not a copycat type of fund manager. We just copy the index and we charge you a hefty fee. But we charge basically very reasonable, which is tucked into the NAV pool. Remember, tucked into the NAV pool, wala na kayong kailangan yung alalahanin. And basically, it's all still actively managed funds. So, which you get a good deal because we get to haggle a lot of fair deals with these global fund managers.
Got it. So I think guys, I hope that was very very clear. Right? I think Andrew, I got this question maybe 10 times offline before the stream. That's why I had to ask it, right? Because yung structure is very unique. So I like that you explain it. Okay, so guys, I think we're nearing the end of the stream. So thank you for still being with us. We're still more than 100 strong, Andrew. I think people are very very excited about the potential, right? So I'm gonna give folks maybe around 2 more minutes to actually sign up in the raffle draw. Right now, I have good amount. So I think we're at about 80% of people na naka-sign up. So if you haven't done so, sayang din. We're gonna give 5 prizes for your G-Invest credits. So go to the link or scan the QR code on screen. But Andrew, while they do all of that last minute registration, I will ask you one thing. I actually did not ask you backstage, right? Will there be a time that ATRAM will also play in cryptocurrencies? I think this is all over the news in the last few days, right? Sobrang to the moon silang lahat. So I think it's very exciting. Will there be a strategy of that moving forward for ATRAM?
Yeah. We actually had a webinar about cryptocurrencies because it's such a hype, diba?
Yes.
In terms of
Yes.
the thing about cryptocurrency. If you get the chance, go to our YouTube channel and there's a video about cryptocurrencies there. For us at Tram, kasi we are very conscious of us regulatory wise rin as well. Diba? Since we're regulated by the BSP, we're doing our due diligence right now in looking for possible investments rin as well. So stay tuned, stay tuned. Abangan natin kasi if there's anyone who can do it, it would be it's gonna be Atram, technically speaking. If you know what I mean.
Got it. So very exciting thing. I think so right now, none in the pipeline yet, but you're saying stay tuned in that
There's-
space.
yeah.
Right.
To be honest, again, just parting, for Atram, alam mo dati, we talk to global fund managers every week. As in, even global fund managers we never heard of, they just visit us, try to pitch their funds. Kaya na, we're at that stage na, guys. Imagine mo before, these global fund managers doesn't want to do business in the Philippines because they still look at the Philippines as a high risk or low business. Now they go to us and try to pitch their different funds, no, to us, no, to be able to wrap it and make it a feeder. Iba-ibang klase. To be honest, meron bang, alam mo ba, meron ng fund na yung benchmark is volatility. Vol funds.
Wow.
Vol funds. Sorry if you guys don't know about it. It's meaning yung benchmark is based on risk na. Uh, ganyan yung galaw ng markado. Ganyan katindi. But sabi ko, hindi pa yata handa ang Pilipinas.
Correct.
Diyan muna.
Hindi ko ma-imagine how that...
Wag muna. Right? Those are discussions that's happening already, right? But unbelievable in terms of potential for all of us, guys, and something that we should be all be looking forward to in the long term. So keep on attending actually these types of sessions, especially with Philip and the rest, and any other YouTube channels are doing all of these stuff because malaking bagay yung learnings na makukuha natin and info. Again, information is key. It's gold, no, nowadays. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. So, I think I know everyone had that cryptocurrency question on their mind, right? I think I've been receiving a lot of different kinds of questions across. Andrew, while I actually now, guys, I've closed registration. So, thanks for everyone. We have over 100 registrants na, so you get a decent amount. So there's a 5% win rate here. But Andrew, while I bring my second screen and try to manage the list of folks who will participate in the draw, do you have any maybe last few tips or words to share with the audience before we go to the draw?
My tips again in terms of if you are a newbie, if you're a newbie, you want to start investing, I see a lot of chats here. Diba? How to start. You know, the barrier to entry to investing is gone down to the window. Ika nga, no? Wala na. 50 pesos lang makakapag-invest na kayo. Start investing. Just download the app if you don't have GCash yet. Get yourself registered, get yourself verified. And right there and then, you can start already doing your investment journey. There's also so many products in Seedbox that you guys can check out. That's ATRAM, so that you can easily be able to look at the full range of ATRAM products that we have, diba? Again, for newbies, you can start investing, but for the ones who are still looking for diversification and diversify your investments as much as possible. Don't just choose tech, don't just choose consumer. Choose both. Why not both? Why not all five? Why not all five? And kunyari may 1,000 ka every month. Spread it across, no? Spread it across 1,000 itong month, itong next month isang fund na to, then 50, di ba? Spread it across because that is basically a winner's strategy. Diversity. To be honest, ito nga do you honestly think yung mga pera ng mga Henry C's, Gokong Ways, they only bank it with one bank? Do you honestly think they put all their money in one bank? Of course not. Diba? They spread it across, offshore, local, everything. By simple concept. If these guys are doing it, why can't we? Diversify it.
And now barrier for entry is very low. So you can actually do it, right? I think if my math is right, with 2,150 pesos, pwede ka na mag-invest in all 5 funds.
I know,
basically,
right?
That's I think, guys, especially for the younger ones, this is probably normal for you. But me, when I graduated in college, the cheapest fund was like maybe 10,000 or 15,000 pesos each. So, ang hirap nung sinasabing diversification in that context, because then I would have needed 50,000 to actually do that, right? But now with 2,150, right, in G-Invest, you can actually do it and start. But the thing is, we have to transcend that and try to learn more so that you can actually build a portfolio that will become meaningful in terms of peso value. Right? So I think very, very thank you, Andrew, for that. So we go to the live draw. Ayan. So Andrew, again, also thank you for sponsoring today's giveaway. So we're actually giving 5 awards of 500 pesos G-Invest credits, and that's why I had to ask your email and your mobile number because we needed that so that we can process it. So I have your contact. I will run the wheel of names, and then the top 5 will basically be the ones who will get those 500 peso credits para makastart kayo, or if you've already started, maka-jumpstart of your investments, right? So we have over 100 people, so let's go, right? So first winner is...
Good luck.
Good luck, ayan. Okay, so we actually have... So we have Joshelle Manuel. So, Wayang, I will include you. So I have the list of winners, right? So congratulations for winning the first award. Okay, so I will remove you from the list and then we go on. 4 more, guys. Right? Okay. Who is the lucky? Okay, so I know you were Shawi, congratulations for winning. So I will contact you after the stream to process things. But congratulations, right? So 2 down, guys. 3 more to go. Feeling ko nagla-live selling ako pag ganito. So quite exciting. So let's see who wins the third one. Okay, so we have Jeff T. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Right, so Hernando will get in touch. So that's 3 out of 5. Okay. We have 2 more. It's gonna win 500 each. Right, so we have Angelica Cruz, 4th winner. Okay. So drum roll muna kasi ito na yung last na. So we have 4 out of the 5 winners. So maybe 1 more. Okay, great. So we have Mozart and Doma. Great. So there you go, guys. Congratulations to the winners. Thank you for staying all the way to the end, right? And I think Andrew, thank you for your time. I think people have really seen the benefit of the stream. I see that in the chat. So guys, thank you for joining as well. We'll try to have more of these kinds of discussion sessions and even more videos on the channel. So Andrew, I'm gonna let you go and have you enjoy the rest of the night before I go to final words. But thank you again for staying 2 hours with all of us. I appreciate it, and we'll definitely keep in touch so that if there are exciting developments as well, especially for those new funds that will be added, right? I'm very, very excited.
No problem. So it's always my pleasure. Happy weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. So we're gonna let Andrew go. So for everyone on the stream, so if you have not yet subscribed, right, to the channel, I hope you do subscribe. So that's the Peso Pro episodes. You're right here, right now. So you just click on that subscribe button. It will really help the channel. We're gonna try to do more giveaways in the future stream. So do subscribe, hit the notification bell. I also do personal finance coaching. So if you want to get in touch, you can always email me in the email there on screen. It's hello@thepesopro.com. And as we were sharing earlier, there are actually a few groups that we would invite you to join, right? So one is the financial literacy page. This is a group that talks about general financial literacy and personal finance. But there's also a group now that's the G Invest community in Facebook. And obviously, you have the official ATRAM Facebook group. So these 3 groups, I highly encourage you to join. It's for free. It's on Facebook. Go to these links or look for these 3 groups in your groups page so that you can have more people like you who are interested to learn more about investing. So that's what we had for today. Thank you guys. And I couldn't show everyone on screen, but thank you for staying all the way to the end. And I hope you enjoy the winners. We will contact you separately. Thank you very much, and have a safe and healthy weekend with your family. I hope you have a good night's rest. Thank you once again.